The future belongs to service providers who innovate without limits. That's why the fastest growing service providers are choosing the NetSapiens platform. Visit netsapiens.com.
Hey everybody, it's Doug Green and I'm the publisher of Technology Reseller News, and I'm very pleased to have with me today Grant Spellmeyer, the President and CEO of America's Communications Association. Grant, thank you for joining me today.
Glad to be here.
And we also have Lou Borrelli, who's the CEO of NCTC. Lou, thank you also.
Well, I appreciate you paying me a lot of money to show up today. That's great.
All right, and I want to note to everybody on a very personal and human note, these guys are heroes. They're doing this as their last, how many podcasts have you done today?
A lot.
All right, a lot. So this is the happy end to a very productive day, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. So we're gathered today. We're going to be talking about the Independent Show, and I guess I'll just start right there. But before we get there, Grant, why don't you tell me a little bit about ACA Connects? What is ACA Connects?
Yeah, absolutely. And Doug, very happy to be here with you this year. So ACA Connects, America's Communications Association. We started as the American Cable Association more than 30 years ago. And today we are continue our mission from my side of the house, which is really focused on public policy in Washington, D.C. So everything related to broadband technology policy in Washington, on behalf of our members, ACA works tirelessly in Congress and at the FCC and with the other federal agencies to make sure that broadband policy is done right in Washington.
All right. And what is NCTC, Lou?
So the NCTC is a cooperative of over 650 broadband, cable, internet providers. We're in all 50 states and U.S. territories. We have more than 40 million broadband and video connections, serving roughly a third of all connected households in the U.S. We started life 42 years ago, a poker game in Kansas City, with a handful of Midwestern cable operators who wanted to join forces to buy programming using their volume for cheaper prices. So like Grant's organization, our original name was the National Cable Television Cooperative. So we are now the National Content and Technology Cooperative, which basically accurately represents what we do for our members. We are the overhead they can't afford, the expertise that they're too small to have on staff. We are a collective buying group, and we also provide solutions in a number of areas like mobile phone, AI, IP transit and transport. It is, it's our legacy, right? We've been at this, as I said, 42 plus years, and the bulk of our membership are small to mid-size operators.
And, before we move on, is it accurate to say with the AI revolution going on and with the underway cloud communications revolution and so on, you guys are sort of at the center of the center?
We are literally at the center. I mean, and I've said this on other podcasts and from stage, the industry, quote unquote, is defined by a handful of analysts who only write about companies that report publicly. And our business, even though we have a few members that report publicly because they have public debt, they're not traded publicly. We're the rest of the industry. If you were to look at a map of the United States, and if you would layer in Comcast and Charter's footprint, we're the hole in their donut. Even though we're in all 50 states and U.S. territories, the bulk of where we are is from our roots, which is primarily in the Midwest. And so when I go to a financial conference and some guy, gets up and starts talking about the industry, I have to remind them that they're talking about two companies or three companies. And you need to really get out more to find out what's happening in the rest of the industry.
So we have coming up very soon something called the Independent Show. What's the Independent Show?
It's our annual conference that we co-host together between ACA and NCTC. If any of you grew up in the cable side of the universe, it's what the old NCTA cable show used to be in Vegas or New Orleans. But the bulk of what we do is, first, we listen to our members. Everything that we put on the stage is generated directly from pre-show research leading up to the show, but also the post-show research from a year ago. What did you like? What didn't you like? What things you think we should have talked about? And as we go and engage with our members throughout the year, and Grant does the same thing when they go to see him, it's like, what's on your mind? Like, what's keeping you up at night? And so here, what we've figured out is not only do we bring in great outside experts, but we primarily stuff the breakout sessions and some of the general sessions with members, because as good looking as Grant and I are, they don't want to hear from us. They want to hear from peers. If you're a member that has, 3,000 homes passed in Rice Lake, Wisconsin, and you want to find out what 3,000 homes passed in Tennessee is doing, well, there you go. So it's about peer pressure, peer networking, peer understanding.
And let's get into that. It sounds like your show reflects some of the trends, some of the challenges that the independent providers are trying to navigate.
Absolutely. I mean, here's the thing, and I say this often. Our member superpower is the fact that they're local. Some of them have been local for 150 years. Okay? Think about that for a second. So you're in a market, you're in a more rural or second, third tier market. For the bulk of your existence, you had no competition, right? Especially if you were a cable guy, no competition. Now you're in an environment where even in smaller markets, there are 2 or 3, sometimes 4 providers. And if you count low orbit satellite, if you count fixed wireless, I mean, there's a lot going on. And for us, our mission is to make sure that our members can remain competitive, that can be in the market with the products and services that their relatives in the big cities like Minneapolis and Chicago and New York and LA, that they're getting the same level of service. Now, we'll never be first. We're basically fast followers, but we offer mobile. We offer an AI center of excellence. We have Broadband TV, which is an over-the-top added value product for broadband homes. We do IP transit and transport. We have middle mile solutions. We are the technology overhead, the expertise, the people that can help them go to market, stay competitive in the market. We do a lot of content. It's still a big part of our existence, even though linear programming, as we all know, have been declining over the years. We're still probably number 4 or number 5 on the hit list in terms of the amount of product programming that we buy. So that's kind of who we are. And the show is a culmination of all the work that Grant and his team and my team have done over the prior year to put together a great experience for our members.
And, Doug, I'd add to what Lou said. From the policy side, our members share all the same policy concerns that the big providers do, the national providers. But from my perspective, it's all the more crucial for our small members because those regulatory and government red tape barriers can crush the little guys faster than the big guys, and they're less well equipped to deal with it. So, we will have a very predictable discussion about the things that continue to stand in the way of broadband deployment in rural areas, facility siting, construction issues, access to programming, the BEAD broadband deployment program, that's federal government money that's making its way out. Lots of competition issues and level playing field issues and programming pricing issues that we'll discuss that are really key to the survival of the little guy.
So your conference will be talking about policy, but I'm also glad you touched on AI because I was sort of wondering if AI, as much as it's maybe a challenge, is it also an opportunity for your members?
Yes, absolutely. So, we stood up an AI Center of Excellence pilot program a few months ago, and we had 4 of our members pilot 4 different use cases that we then, managed and collected the data. A couple of weeks ago, we presented the findings to our board, and they approved a go. We had a go, no go vote, and they approved unanimously. And so, in addition to the $1 million+ we put up about 7-8 months ago, we're putting up even more money now to be able to stand up a platform that you should think of as a sandbox. We'll have multiple use cases supported by business cases with different vendors that we have vetted. We'll obviously start with the 4 that we started with, but over time, our members will be able to access whatever AI solutions they think work best for them on a subscription basis. So they don't have to put up hundreds of thousands or $5 or $10 million to stack and everything. It'll be a cooperative effort. And we think that it will make our members more productive. It'll enable them to provide a better level of service. And it positions them so that whichever direction AI takes, we'll be able to translate and sort of reimagine that from a small to medium business owner, because that's really the bulk of our membership. Our biggest guys, they're already doing AI and different things. I mean, they're still interested in some of our stuff, but this is really meant for the heart of the membership.
Are these the conversations you think that we'll be having literally after the show too?
I don't think these conversations ever end. I mean, look, I've been in the business 50 years, and I'm still sitting in meetings where they say, and this, if we do this, it'll reduce churn. Churn. We're still talking about churn, right? So these conversations never stop. You just have to be agile, and you have to have at least a semblance of respect for what happened previously, because otherwise we just keep doing the same stupid stuff over and over again. And I think we, listen, we're smart enough to listen to our members. I mean, we do everything based upon input from members, research with members, experience with members, and then we put the members on stage because that's who the members want to hear from. It's not that hard. It's not there's not a lot of secret sauce in this recipe.
The topics do evolve a little bit, though. I was reflecting, Lou. I know 4 years ago the words artificial intelligence didn't come up, and I'm going to bet you 3 years ago we weren't talking about artificial intelligence. I know we did.
I just learned how to spell it 3 years ago.
So it evolves, but there is a lot of similarity in the themes, and I think we've got plenty to discuss for this year and the immediate future.
Speaking of historic patterns, I think ever since I can remember, like forever, the big guys have always bundled things. They love bundling. They love packaging, right? Mm-hmm. Is this a conversation you're having with the smaller members? I mean, in other words, can they be competitive, or how are you helping them be competitive with things like broadband, mobile video, and so on?
Sure. Well, to set the record straight, small guys always bundled. They just weren't that loud about it. So, they had multi-pay, they had, quad play, whatever. I think today, when I think back, the first bundle, quote unquote, was HBO with basic cable, right?
That's right.
And then we added more pay, we added more tiers of service. Then people started bundling. I mean, I remember bundling phone, but it was a VoIP service connected to the cable box, right? So we had all these different options. Today, our members on the content side, we have all the same rights that the biggest providers have. We have negotiated those agreements. And so you'll hear us talk about ESPN Unlimited as an added value for free to existing programming members. Same thing with Fox One, added value for free because they're authenticating against the cable bundle. We have a mobile phone option. Our retail pricing is competitive with any carrier, the big three or even Comcast Charter. So we're price competitive on mobile. We are content competitive in terms of flexibility. We're looking at AI as a way to maintain that competitive edge and to help them go forward. The new bundle is basically broadband, mobile, and then if you want content. I remember when content was the only product. Now it's a product and it's evolving and changing. So you just have to figure out within your ecosystem and your community what combinations make the most sense for you. And then you have to also then help, how do you go to market? A lot of our members, even though they have some ILEC, history, they weren't in the mobile business. And so it's a new thing and you have to help them out. And we have the experts and the collective experience to make that happen.
As we close up our brief podcast today, can you guys just tell me, I go to the show, what am I taking home?
I think they're going to come home with a lot of enthusiasm from what they hear from the team at NCTC about solutions that are coming. I want them on the policy side to take home, kind of renewed optimism about their ability to be effective in moving the policy dials in Washington. As Lou alluded to, we're small, we're local, we're in the communities. That's an effective tool to move policymakers in Washington. People, when a member of Congress goes home and sees the CEO of that little company from Kentucky that's been out there for 150 years, it's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Lou?
I think we will measure success by what they tell us as they leave. We do the research literally the week after they get home. I think that there are a number of solutions that some members are sort of dipping their toe in, and that's no way to live. You got to be confident to go forward. So what we're hoping is that all of the conversations we have, whether it's the keynotes, whether it's the breakouts, whether it's the users groups, that they're motivated to jump in with both feet, because unless you are to be competitive, you have to have all these tools in your tool belt, right? Now, different companies will roll them out at different rates, but as long as you're getting into the game, even though this feels like it's a revolutionary thing, we're really in an evolutionary environment. Things are still being sorted out. AI is like, a year ago, AI was going to take everybody's job. Now AI is just going to help you do your job better. I mean, things evolve, messages change. Policy is policy, and we're relying on our friends at ACA to do the best they can to move an immovable object. But I believe they have the gumption to do it. And wherever it lands, we'll have to play with whatever rules we got. And that's all I can do is equip our members to be as successful as they can be with the tools, the solutions, the backup that we both provide them.
Well, gentlemen, I really want to thank you for joining me today. It's always all too brief. There's so much to talk about. But where can people learn more about this conference?
Well, you can go to nctc.org, nctconline.org. Gosh, I should know my own web address, or just Google The Independent Show.
Yeah,
you'll find it.
All right, let me put that up there. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed. I'm looking forward to hearing more about this conference. But for now, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Doug.
Tremendous.
Innovate without limits, scale without compromise, and never pay per seat again. Discover why providers choose netsapiens.com.